Guys, we're going to talk about dialogue versus narration. So, since we are kind of working on our narrative unit, we need to talk about what it looks like on paper and how you write it. So, dialogue is basically conversation, it's when people talk to each other. So, when you see it in writing, every time someone has a conversation and it's back and forth, each one is a new paragraph. So, dialogue is simply someone talking, speaking, okay? Narration is what the narrator is telling us. That voice in your head as you read what they're telling you as the reader. That's narration. So we're actually going to take a look at that real quick. I'm going to flip over here to the bad boy reading. So if I was to go back to slide 1 here, which we talked about on Tuesday, on the bottom here, this is all narration because nothing is in quotation marks. No one's having a conversation. We're just simply being told information. Okay. So on slide 2, which is where we're going to be at today, says for this page only, highlight dialogue in yellow and narration in green. Then answer questions at the bottom. So highlight dialogue in yellow. I already have one example done for us. You can see here that someone is speaking. Mrs. Conway is talking. She is saying something aloud that others can hear, and it's highlighted in yellow. So what you're going to do is you're going to go through this page only, just slide 2, and you're going to highlight every time someone speaks when there's dialogue happening in yellow. Everything else would be in green because that's narration. That's information being told to you as the reader. Okay. So if I was to do this, I would start with my new school was Public School 43 on 128th Street and Amsterdam Avenue across from the Transit Authority bus terminal. Mrs. Conway was my teacher, and it took me one day to get into trouble for that with her. This would all be in green. Okay. So you would go ahead and highlight this all in green. And continuing on here, the next paragraph. No one is speaking. Again, this would all be green. Then you have the yellow because this dialogue, someone's speaking. Okay. So that is how you do this page. I want you to identify the difference between dialogue and narration. And then also on the side here, just like we worked on in class, you have some character trait boxes. So what you're going to do is you're going to kind of read through here. You're going to pick a character. You would put the character's name in there. So whether it's Walter or Mrs. Conway or another character in the story, like one of the peers in class, you would put that kid's name or that adult's name, that character's name. You would pick a trait from the list of traits, or you come with your own. So if Miss Conway was funny, you would put funny. Okay. And then for evidence, you would go on and explain what in the text shows that she's funny, shows that trait, gave you those context clues for you to know that she's being funny. Okay. Um, so for example, this one, slow down and try it again, Mrs. Conway said. If you put Miss Conway, you can pick a trait that is represented by her saying that to another character. Okay. And then you would explain it using the evidence. Well, she's telling someone to try again. So that probably would show some patience. Okay, so you could put patience at this rate and then explain it. So that's what you're doing on slide 2, and you're actually going to continue that onto slide 3. So same thing, we're working on characterization for slide 3. And then if you are ready to move ahead on slide 4, it says for this section, use your reciprocal teaching roles to take notes on the side. So we're talking about predicting, questioning, clarifying, and summarizing here. So you're just going to answer the questions along the side. You'll read this first paragraph. So this is a new chapter in the memoir Bad Boys. You'll stop right here and make a prediction how the story will go. Then as you're reading, I want you to come with 2 questions you have about the reading that you're just kind of thinking outside the box here and questioning things going on. And then you would clarify one part of the story. The clarifying could be you simply answering the question that you already developed if you realize what the answer is. And then on slide 5, this is our ACE responses. Please remember it needs to be an ACE format, constructor responses here. There's 4 choices. Please read the directions carefully depending on what class you are in. This is the end of the story right here. So right here, you're going to write your ACE response, either 1 or 2, depending on your class. Remember, you need to answer the question in your own words. You're going to cite 2 times from the text, so words directly from the text. You're putting them in quotation marks, and then you go back and explain how your answer and how your first cite, your first piece of evidence connect. And then you do it again for the second piece of evidence with your answer. How did those connect? You're putting your own word. That explanation part should be well developed. That shows that you truly understand what you're talking about. So please understand how to do responses using the ACE format for this page.